Hey there, my name is Megan and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a spoiler-free review for Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson. Before we go ahead and get on into the review, if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, as well as the little bell icon so you can be notified every time I post new bookish content. I post new videos every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday, and sometimes other days throughout the week. The way that I structure my book reviews is I discuss what the book is about, some things that I liked and some things that I didn't like, and then I give the book an overall rating. If you're interested in skipping to any one of those particular sections, I will put timestamps down below. In Vespertine, we are following a character named Artemisia, and she lives in a world where if you do not properly bury the dead, their spirits can actually rise up, and depending on the kind of death that the person had, they can become different types of ghosts. Some are, very mild, don't affect people, and some are downright violent. So Artemisia is a nun, and she is responsible for helping prepare these people for burial so that, their ghosts don't rise up and try and kill people. And what we learn is that Artemisia was actually possessed by a ghost when she was younger. She was possessed by an ashgram, which is a person that died by fire. So she ended up burning herself really, really badly, or the ashgram forced her to. And she had a really traumatic childhood. Her family locked her in a shed because they didn't know she was possessed. They just thought she was crazy. And she ended up being saved by the mother of this convent, Mother Catherine, who took her, exorcised the spirit from her, and then Artemisia was being raised at the convent. So one night, the convent is attacked by this army of soldiers, this army of possessed soldiers, which is not normal. And Artemisia, in order to save everybody, ends up stealing a relic. And inside of these relics are the most powerful, violent ghosts that existed in all the age. And she ends up wielding the relic. And when that happens, the ghost inside the relic basically possesses the wielder. But this is known as a Vespertine, and Vespertines have the power to have the spirit inside of them, and they can actually give the wielder additional powers like strength and stuff like that, but the wielder has the ability to not be completely possessed by this ghost. So the ghost is called the Revenant. So she wields this relic, gets possessed by the Revenant, and they defeat the ghosts. But what they learn is that someone is wielding old magic and is trying to do a bunch of evil things. So Artemisia, who's possessed by the Revenant, end up going to this big city in order to hunt down the person wielding the old magic who's trying to hurt others. So that's where we're at. So I'm going to jump into some of the things that I liked about this book. So this is a YA fantasy, so it was definitely really, really fun and fast-paced. I really enjoyed the world that Margaret Rogerson created. It's just a very, very interesting magic system that she set up with these nuns that are able to exorcise ghosts, are able to cleanse dead bodies, are able to fight ghosts. And then we have these Vespertines that can wield these relics, are able to be possessed by ghosts. So it was a lot of fun being in Artemisia's head because we have her thoughts, but then we have the Revenant's thoughts. And the Revenant is this all-powerful, being, and it just speaks down to her all the time, makes fun of her basically because she's a human and very weak compared to it. And the dialogue between the two of them was a bit harsh at times because the Revenant is trying to help Artemisia, find this wielder of old magic. But at other times, the Revenant saves her life and aids her in fighting off evil. And there's just a big dynamic between their relationship because it's like a love-hate relationship. But it was just bizarre to me because literally the being was inside of Artemisia. So it's usually an outside person love-hate relationship. So it was just a bit different having a character that was possessed by a spirit. I'll be honest, it did take me a little while to get into this book. So once Artemisia has been taken away from the convent and is on the way to the bigger city, then the story started to pick up a little bit. But then we actually do get kind of a friend group going on, which I wasn't expecting because Artemisia is a loner and she really doesn't like other people. But there's a character named Marguerite who was Artemisia's roommate at the convent who ends up playing a big part in the rest of the story. And I just really loved seeing their relationship develop because it's kind of a, judging each other type thing, not liking each other, but then turning friends type thing. So, in the whole story, there is definitely that theme of friendship, of judging others before you know them, of working with people you don't like, and maybe learning to see the best in others because you have that relationship between Marguerite and Artemisia. You have another character named Jean, which the entire city judges him based on something that happened to him. Then you have the Revenant and Artemisia having to work together. And then you have Artemisia herself. Like I said, she was possessed by an Ashgrim when she was younger. She has burn scars on her, so a lot of people judge her based on her appearance. So the theme of like judging too quickly was definitely prevalent in this book and one that I really enjoyed. As for the things that I disliked, really there wasn't a ton. The only thing that I can even think is that I really didn't feel an emotional connection to any part of this story, really. And whenever I am lacking like an emotional connection to either a character or a theme or an experience, I tend not to enjoy the story as much. So it has nothing to do with the author, it has nothing to do with the writing. All of that was great. The characters were great, the story was fun, the pacing was fine. It's honestly me, the reader, because this is where the subjectivity of literature comes in. So there really wasn't anything about this story that spoke to me um, personally. So this is definitely a YA story, and sometimes the YA stories teeter on the types of themes that they address and how deep they are, and just none of them really spoke to me in a way that connected me. So because of that, my enjoyment of the story was lessened just a little bit. But all in all, guys, this was such a fun story, and it definitely is the perfect story to read around the October spooky season because you have ghosts, you have people that are being possessed. There is definitely like an old world type setting. Think like old Paris. There's a lot to do with like old magic and misconceptions, and there's just a lot that went into this story that made it super fun and super enjoyable. I'm really glad I read it, and I ended up giving Vespertine a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I definitely do recommend it if you like a good, fun YA fantasy. All right, you guys, that is it for my review of Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson. Let me know in the comments if you read this book and what you thought of it, and I will see you all in another video soon. Goodbye!